Welcome back, my little nightmares. It's me, Queen Nightmare. And, well, I do have a new mic, so if I sound really, really soft to you, I apologize. I will turn it up in when I'm editing. But yeah, I have a nice microphone that actually converts, right? Oh no. Okay, I gotta ha 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 for 30 seconds. Yeah, I just swore. I'm gonna bleep it out so it doesn't matter. Anyways, we are doing When the Two Ends Meet to Marry by Joy It Banerjee or Banerjee. I don't know how to say their name. I apologize. Do not forget that for my newer stories, I do try to put them in the description down below, unless someone gave it to me as a, Google Doc or emailed me a script. So, but lucky for you, this one isn't. I also did an oopsie in my other video. I put 1 through 4 when it was actually 1 through 5. So, we're on The Adventure Begins, Chapter 5. As everybody looked in the bathroom, they all gasped at the sight. The floor was covered in crimson blood, and on it laying a limp body of Harry, blood oozing out of his arms and throat. "Oh, Harry!" The twins ran in, followed by Remus, Sirius, and Draco. "He's breathing! Help me take him to the infirmary!" Dominique called over. The twins picked Harry up and carried him down to the infirmary, where there was a nurse standing. "Lucy, get with the healing!" Lucius said, running in. As soon as the twins laid Harry on the bed, the mid-aged woman started muttering healing charm, but as she was doing it, she stopped after some time. "Sir, I need to put off the glamour he's sporting on. Also the shirt, if you don't mind," she said in a tensed tone. "Glamour?" Remus asked, a bit shocked, but nodded anyway. The nurse instantly pulled off Harry's shirt and the glamour. Everybody gasped at the sight. Yet again, trigger warning in effect. His whole body was covered with cuts and bruises. Some bruises were a few weeks old, and the others few years. They couldn't differentiate between the self-harmed and the others. But all were looking severe. Almost everybody had tears in their eyes. Marlene, Henry, Dominique, Fred, George, Draco, and so on. When the healer was done healing, she turned to the others. "I don't know how he survived with these bruises and scars all together, but I can conclude that he was tortured very badly in Muggle way. He will be fine, as I've healed most of the injuries, but just keep in check that he doesn't try to unalive himself again, because he may not survive the next time." She finished with a serious and blank expression on her face and left. "This was entirely my fault. I shouldn't have said that on the dinner table," Fred said, shaking his head. Tears were rolling down his cheeks. "It's not your fault, Weasley. It's their fault. It's the fault of those disgusting muggles, and mostly the swine who had put him there in the first place. Albus Dumbledore." Dominique growled in a dangerously low tone. They heard a groan. When they looked at the bed, they saw Harry stirring. Eventually, his eyes fluttered open and muttered something. "Sorry, we didn't hear you," George said, leaning closer to Harry. There was a faint smile on his lips. "What? I didn't die again?" It was loud enough standing near his bed to hear. Fred and George's eyes instantly started welling up again. "No, you didn't. And I'll make sure you don't hold a wand again." George choked up, pointing a finger at him. Harry smiled a bit. "Okay, fine. I won't. Because I really want to kill that old prick. "Oh, come on. Everybody present here wants to kill him. But I think you just made a mistake. It was you who you were trying to kill, not him." Draco rolled his eye. "Harry," Severus called, "I know that we all want to kill him. But right now, he is too powerful for us to lay even a single finger on him. He's not only the greatest wizard, but also has full influence on the ministry. If anyone's there who acquires the power to stop him is Voldemort himself. Still, it'll be a very tough job to actually kill him, Severus said in a heavy tone. But assessing the condition of him now, I don't think he's in the right mind to even think properly. The ritual of bringing him back had a very bad effect on his mind. He's no more the intelligent Tom Riddle we knew. He just wants power now, anyhow. He's now even thinking of joining hands with Dumbledore. If this happens, then everything will be destroyed. Lucius finished. The room went totally silent. Harry lay there still, tensed. He knew that if anything like that happens, more and more lives will be destroyed, and the wizarding world will probably lose any possible hope of gaining control over itself. Isn't there any way to stop that? I mean, there must be some way, right? Harry asked out. Severus shook his head. No, not at least in the present condition. There would be a possibility if Tom gets back to his senses. But we don't know how to do that, or how much time it will take. Dumbledore's already planning on the war. There's no time to wait, Lucius said. What if we go back in time and change the past? We can do that. You have a time turner. Dominique spoke up. Everybody's face lit up. Yes, that is a way. A very good way, indeed. But who will do it? Lucius said, looking around the room. I'll do it. Harry spoke up, sitting up from his bed. Harry, it's too dangerous, and you still are very weak. Marlene spoke up. Do you think we are all safe right now? And Dumbledore is planning on killing me anyway, so why not? I mean, we are going to die anyway. If we don't do anything right now, there's no second thought to it. Once Dumbledore joins hands with Voldemort, which I'm sure he will, we all will be killed. Harry spoke up in a louder tone, happy that there's a way to stop the forthcoming destruction. He's right, Mom. I'll go with him. You all can look after here and try to stop him, while we all try to go stop Dumbledore from getting so much power. That's the only way to stop him, and the past cannot be more dangerous than the future, Dominique said. We'll go with you too, Harry. We don't have a family here anymore. You are our only family. One of the twins spoke up. Harry turned and smiled at them, nodding. Potter, can I come with you too? I mean, I want to help you too. Draco piped up nervously. Okay then. I, Nick, Malfoy, Fred, and George are going to do this, Harry said, standing up. He was not feeling any uneasiness with this, all the energy flowing within him. He now had a way to stop all the destruction, to undo all the misery in his life. We'll go tomorrow, Dominique said, nodding. I don't think there's any point lingering with this anymore, she added. Harry, you know that you now have a family, right? Henry asked with a smile. Yes, Henry, I know. You are my dad. She's my mom, and she is my sister. He was pointing out Henry, Marlene, and Dominique, respectively. He reached out and hugged one by one. And I have two others too. And I love all of you. He added, looking over to the twins. We love you too, brother. Fred and George smiled back. Gradually, the next day arrived. The 5 teenagers have done all their studies of their ancestors. The 3 main people who had to do the study were Draco, Fred, and George, as they had the longest line of purebloods. Harry didn't have to worry, as no Potter, in particular, read in Hogwarts at the time. They have decided to go, and Dominique didn't have such a long, pure bloodline family. They have decided to travel the time before Tom had opened the Chamber of Secrets. That was the time from when the actual destruction started. Myrtle Warren died. Rubus Hagrid was expelled, and after a few years, Voldemort was created. Harry had emptied his vaults, including the Potter vault, with Sirius's request taken some money from the Black Vault, which made up 600 million galleons. Dominique and Draco had taken all the money from their personal vaults, which made up 60 million galleons and 100 million galleons, respectively. They knew that there was no certainty that they will be back any time soon. They had their plans set. According to Dominique, Harry was going to act as the son of his paternal grandfather's uncle, who went missing during one of his tours with his wife, Stella Black. Fred and George were the grandsons of the certain Weasley who moved to Germany, married a muggle, and had a son. Draco was the son of his great great grandfather's daughter, who was blasted off the family tree for marrying a half blood. After breakfast, they all gathered in Lucius's study. "Are you all ready?" Lucius asked, handing them a time turner to them. Yeah, they all nodded simultaneously. "Stay safe and strong, and please try to come back. And if you can't come back somehow, just write a letter, attach it to the time turner, and send it to Tom in the leaky cauldron. Okay?" Narcissa said, hugging Draco. "Mom, I'll be fine. Don't worry about me. You stay safe, please, will you?" Draco said, hugging his mom back. Narcissa smiled at her son and nodded. They were all bidding farewell to their family before setting off for their mission. They decided to travel from the Diagon Alley. As they reached Diagon Alley, they stood in a deserted alley. Father said that 20 turns would be sufficient to take us to the desired time. So, ready, all of you? Draco said as he held up the device in his hand. The rest were holding Draco. They all nodded. When they finished turning the lever, all of them were sucked in and started spinning. They remained like that for a few more seconds before hitting the ground. As they looked around, they saw that many of the houses that were just around them were gone. The streets looked less busy. "Let's go to the bookstore. We could probably see the date to confirm," Dominique said, pointing at a nearby bookstore. They entered the shop. The first thing they searched for was the Daily Prophet. It wasn't very hard to find, as they easily found a copy on the counter. 28th of August, 1942. Harry read the date with a grin. "We are just in time!" Draco, yeah, we are coming. Tom Riddle, be ready." Fred and George shouted, throwing their hands in the air. Sir, do you want something? Which book do you want?" the man at the counter asked. Harry was about to say something, but Fred stopped him. We actually came here to give you something," Fred said. They could see Harry's eyes narrow in suspicion, and the shopkeeper had a confused expression. "What, sir?" he asked, looking at Fred's face. Harry's eyes widened. But before he could say anything, Fred just placed a round-shaped object on the counter and yelled, "Run!" Before running out of the shop, George and Harry immediately followed what it was. And after them followed a confused Dominique and Draco. Just as they ran out, there was a loud explosion sound. 3 of the 5 people pulled up laughing, while the other 2 stood there staring at the shop from which a green smoke was coming out. "What did you do?" Draco asked, his eyes a bit wide with amusement. "Dung bombs. Weasley's specialty," Harry said between laughs. Draco and Nick just gaped at them. "Will you ever improve?" Draco asked, flabbergasted. The twins just shook their heads plainly. "We can't. It would be an insult, Harry," Fred said. "What do you mean?" Draco asked, tilting his head. "How can we just stop making prank items when Harry Potter has specially funded and sponsored our joke shop dream?" George said, smirking at Draco. Draco and Dominique turned to Harry with raised eyebrows. "I just handed them the winning prize of the tournament." Harry shrugged. "Harry, you surprise me every time," Dominique said, smiling, shaking her head fondly. "What, You better start calling me Harry, Draco, Harry said, pointing a finger at Draco. Draco raised his eyebrows and nodded in realization. Then we will also have to call the twins by their names, he asked nervously. Don't worry. Harry will explain you how to recognize us correctly, Fred said, smiling proudly at Harry. Yeah, only he, Bill, and Charlie can recognize us correctly, George said with a smile. Don't worry, Draco. It's easy. Fred's face is a bit smaller and oval than George's. George has a sharp jawline, while Fred has an oval jawline, Harry explained. Dominique and Draco narrowed their eyes and peered closer at the two identical faces. The more they leaned forward, the more the twins pulled their faces back. Wait, are you both trying to kiss us? They both shouted and pushed their faces away. Harry started laughing again. Harry, like this, Tom will think that we are their boyfriends. This is not happening, they said in chorus. Harry, don't you have any other way to recognize them? This is bollocks. We cannot get into their faces every time we to call them. Draco reasoned. Okay, Fred's eyes are a bit lighter than George's, and usually George starts talking between the two. And yeah, Fred's lips are a bit thinner than George's, Harry explained. Fred and George's eyes widened. Harry, please don't say such inappropriate things. And Draco, Nick, please don't come looking for our lips every time, Fred said. But other two teenagers were already roaming their eyes around their face. I think this is George and that's Fred, right? Dominique said, pointing at the twins respectively. Yeah, you're right. Good job, Nick, Harry said, smiling at his sister. Um, how did you do that? Draco asked, pouting. Don't worry, you'll get it eventually, George said, smiling. Hey, you are George, Draco said, grinning. George just smiled and nodded. He patted Draco's back and said, Yeah, you're right, Draco. Encounter with the devil. Tom was in a very happy mood right now. Finally, the term break was over, and he could go back to his home. He could go back to Hogwarts. It was his 5th year when he entered the station. Quite a few minutes were left for the train to go, but as usual, he walked straight towards the train, sporting a dazzling smile to anyone who waved at him, as he wanted empty compartment. It's not like he wanted to. He would probably have ignored them if it was the time to board the train to go back to the orphanage. But as he was about to get up, a hand reached out from his side and grabbed the door handle before him. He looked at the way the hand came from to see a raven-haired boy with round glasses. The boy pushed past him to get up, but even after him, he couldn't get up. This time, a girl with brown hair did the same thing. Gradually, 3 more students copied the previous action. The last 2 students looked oddly familiar. They were twins with red hair and freckles. Tom concluded them to be Weasleys. He just stood there and watched the group with narrowed eyes. The first 2 of them had a peculiar smug expression on their faces. The twins and the boy with blonde hair, who weirdly looked like a Barrax Malfoy, just glanced at him blankly and moved on. He stared at them for another second, getting on the train. The train ride wasn't that eventful. As usual, he sat alone in the compartment and looked out of the window, looking at the houses and trees flying past. When they reached the castle, Harry, Dominique, Draco, Fred, and George were taken to the great hall by none other than Albus Dumbledore. He looked a bit awkward with his not so white hair and beard, but even then he had that twinkle in his eye which could fool so many people. Harry, Dominique, and Draco quickly pulled up their occlumentic shields and also covered Fred and George. They didn't trust Dumbledore one bit. As they entered, the headmaster, Dippet, started speaking. Good morning, students of Hogwarts. This year we have three fifth year and two seventh year new students. At first, they will be sorted, and when the first year students will be sorted, Professor Dumbledore, please announce the name of the students and start the sorting. Dominique Sapphire, Dumbledore called. Dominique glanced at Dumbledore before walking toward the stool placed in the middle of the great hall and sitting down. As soon as the hat touched her head, it shouted, Slytherin! Dominique smiled at the rest of the group and proudly walked to her table. As she reached it, she saw everybody, especially the boys, staring at her. She was actually used to this, so didn't pay as much attention to it. She just walked over to the empty seat and sat down. She looked to her sides to see a particular black-haired boy smiling at her. She tilted her head in confusion. Hi, I'm Alfred Black, boy said, holding out a hand to her. Hello, I'm Dominique Sapphire, she said, smiling a bit in recognition. Hello, I'm Tom Riddle. Tom smiled, his most charming smile that could have made every girl or boy flattered. Oh, hi, it's nice to meet you, Dominique said, smiling dismissively. Tom just nodded and turned away, a bit cocked up. Harry Potter, Dumbledore called. Harry nervously sat on the chair. He was a bit confused which house he will be sorted in, but he was relieved that at least Dominique was near Tom already. The hat was placed on his head. Hello, Harry Potter. Welcome to Hogwarts. It seems that you are specifically here for a mission. I already have an ambition, and you obviously will gain success there than in any other house. So you better be in Slytherin! The sorting hat shouted. The Slytherin table cheered. Harry sat there for a moment, assessing what had just happened. It was not like he was sad or anything, but he didn't think he was going to be sorted into Slytherin of all houses. He shrugged it inwardly and got up from the stool. He gave a quick smirk toward the remaining three members and went on to sit on his newly appointed table. Eventually, Draco, too, was sorted into Slytherin, and the twins were sorted into Gryffindor. Harry saw who he was sitting beside. On the left was a man who looked exactly like young Sirius Black. He got a little startled at first. You okay there? For the first time I witnessed a Potter in Slytherin, the boy said, smirking. Oh, yeah, I'm fine. Actually, even I think I'm the first ever Potter to be in Slytherin, Harry said, smiling. The boy nodded and smiled. Hi, I'm Orin Black, by the way. And you are Harry Potter, I suppose? Yeah, indeed. He nodded as well. It was a bit weird to hear the name from someone without any surprise in his voice, but he liked it. Now he could build his own reputation in the school. No one would run behind him with a camera or blush every time while talking with him. He recognized Orion to be Sirius's father. No wonder they look so similar. He looked to his other side to see the one he's here for. Tom Riddle. He was looking straight towards him. Um, hi? Harry said, a bit confused what to say. Hello, I'm Tom Riddle. And you are Harry Potter? The light blue-eyed guy said. His face was impassive, which Harry instantly understood to be a sign of thinking. Something was going on in that intelligent head of his. Harry nodded and smiled a bit, mostly faking it. Where are you from? Tom asked. I'm from Germany, actually, but moved here due to the war. We used to go to Durmstrang, Harry explained with a smile. You went to Durmstrang? And you witnessed the war? Tom asked, raising his eyebrows. Yeah, we all did, actually. I, Nit, Dominique, Draco, and the twins. Harry said, peering at Dominique over Tom's shoulder. She was looking his way now. You really saw the Dark Lord? He asked again. Quite a few times, actually. He's a very intelligent man. Dominique spoke up. That was a clear lie. She may have seen the Dark Lord, but not the one Tom Riddle was talking about. Tom looked at her straight into the eyes. She instantly knew what he was trying to do. A smirk appeared on her face. Too bad, Riddle. You shouldn't do that very often, you know. Tom's eyebrows cocked up. His eyes traveled to his other side. Harry had the exact smug smile placed on his face. An instant suspicion was raised in his mind about the whole group. Occlumency was not a thing that could be learned by anybody. It needed practice and power, and here the whole group seemed to be occlumens. That is fishy. There was something fishy about this. How was it? Fred asked. Good, but still have to know what's exactly going on in his mind, Harry said. Harry, Dominique, and Draco were going towards the Slytherin common room. Fred and George were just walking them towards there. Fred, George, you two better keep a check on the Gryffindor students. Dumbledore always tends to target them first and make them his own pawns. Just keep an ear on what they are speaking and talking about. Try to up with them, Draco said, turning to the twins. Okay, we will, but it's kind of weird keeping a check on the Gryffindors for the Slytherins. We have always done the opposite. George said, smiling and shaking his head. Yeah, as though I got you to the top of the world and you are going to do this because now Harry is a Slytherin. Draco said, turning to the twins. By the way, you are George, aren't you? Yeah, I am indeed. George smiled and looked at Draco, tilting his head. Your eyes. They are darker than Fred's, Draco said, looking at the other twin. Guys, we're here. Our common room, Harry called. Bye, Harry. Take care of yourself. And let me tell you one thing, Draco. We are doing this for our future. We don't care if Harry's a Slytherin or Hufflepuff. He's our brother, and we are all in this together. We'll try our best to stop anyone who tries to harm our brother, Fred said, looking at Harry. Harry gave a brilliant smile to his new brothers. Don't you dare try to steal my brother, Fred? Dominique said, taking a careful look at Fred before confirming. Look who's here! The blood traitors and the son of the blasted faith. A voice called behind them. They turned around to find two girls from Slytherin, Megan Yaxley and Abigail Malfoy. What did you call my mother? Draco stepped forward, gritting his teeth. Draco, no. Dominique put a hand on his shoulder. Keep yourself calm, or you may make a mistake, Dominique whispered in his ear. Draco begrudgingly took the step back, but his hand was still in his robe pocket, holding his wand. The twins stood there scowling and keeping a hand on their wands as well. What happened, blood traitors? Too scared to stand for your family? The blonde girl called. Believe me, I would have blown you up if I could, but I prefer not to stain my hands with your filthy blood. Harry growled. What's going on here? They saw the future Dark Lord standing behind the two future Death Eaters. His voice was blank and heavy. They saw him approach the two girls and he raised his eyebrows. What is the fuss about? He asked in a calm tone. They immediately stepped back a bit. Nothing. We were just talking, the Malfoy girl spoke up. Indeed. Tom raised his eyebrows even more and turned around to the teen standing on his other side. Absolutely. We were just talking about our families, weren't we? Harry gave a fake smile to Malfoy and Yaxley. The two girls glowered at him. Well then, why don't we then go to our respective common rooms? He said calmly and started walking towards the gargoyle. Megan and Yaxley took this as a gesture as an order to do the same, as they followed him, still glaring at the other teens. Well, I guess it's a cue for us too. We'll see you tomorrow at breakfast. The twins left waving at Harry. Harry put a hand around Dominique's shoulder. Let's go. As they entered the common room, every eye turned to them. Harry and Dominique just looked around and rolled their eyes. They both were well aware and too used to the stairs for different reasons. Dominique was considered it was okay to ogle at, while Harry was grown up in a reputation as the boy who lived and considered it as a useless attention. They plopped down on a love seat as Draco took the sofa chair near them. It's just way too hard. Harder than I thought. Anyway, bloody Draco trailed off. What's so hard? Alfred spoke up. Mingling with new people, Draco replied, and a glance at the previous girls. No worry, they'll be fine. Actually, they too find it a bit hard to do, Alfred said in a low voice. By the way, you two make a good couple, he said, pointing at Harry and Dominique. Dominique and Harry just blinked at each other and looked, and a slight smirk appeared on their face. They ignored the wide eyed Draco. Oh, thank you! Didn't know that you'll guess so fast, Dominique said, putting a hand around Harry's shoulder. Deciding to play along, Harry put a hand around her waist and kissed her cheek. Oh gosh, it's too much stress for one day, Dominique mumbled and reached into her robe. She took out a small box from her pocket. What are you doing? A heavy and now familiar voice. She looked up to see Tom. He had his eyebrows raised and a blank expression on his face. She looked at her hand in which the box was held. Oh, this? She said, raising the box. Don't worry. I won't set the room on fire. It's just a packet of smokes. One of the few muggle things that fascinate me, she said, taking a cigarette out. She lit the cigarette wordlessly and sighed in content. Harry, you want one? She asked, turning to Harry, who was smiling in amusement. Yeah, yes, please, he said, taking one out of the box for himself and lighting it. You do realize that you are smoking in the common room of a school, don't you? Tom asked, looking at the two teens. Oh, yes, I definitely do. But, I'm not worrying about that, as the Golden Boys of Hogwarts are not planning on going and spilling it to some teacher, she said, turning to Harry and smirking. She took a long puff of her cigarette and leaning on the chair. You mean boy, right? Oran spoke up. Dominique raised her eyebrows. Yeah, kind of. Sorry, she said, suppressing a smirk. Tom's eyes narrowed in suspicion. And whoever told you so? I have faith on the most intelligent boy of his time, she said, smiling at him. Tom just gave her a blank expression. You shouldn't just trust anybody. You know that? He asked, smiling at them. Sometimes you can be so frickin' right, Riddle, but it amuses me at the same time that you don't exactly do what you preach, Harry said, shaking his head. What do you mean? Tom asked. He was getting more curious about the two of them, especially. They were acting too confident in front of him, which was very unusual for him. I mean, the same as you, Riddle. You should not just trust anybody, not knowing them, Harry said, extinguishing the burnt out cigarette on the floor. Anyway, Nick, I'm going to bed. Want to join me? Harry said, smirking. Dominique's face had a similar expression. She knew that question was real, as a brother, but everybody else in the room hadn't thought otherwise. Tom and Draco instantly cringed at the thought of them together. Oh, not now, dear Harry. I'm too tired now, Dominique said, and almost cringed at her own words. As Harry was going towards the boys' dorm, Draco joined him. You should be a bit careful with your PDA. I almost threw up there, Draco said as he climbed the stairs. Yeah, but it's fun. Let them think that for a few days, Harry said, opening the door to the dorm. Tom just sat in the common room thinking about what Harry had told him about trusting people. Was he talking about someone specific? Or was he just blabbering? I'll definitely know about you, Potter. Okay, guys, I know this is shorter than my usual content, but I really shouldn't burn myself out like I used to. And doing those long ass videos literally did that because I did so much editing and shit. I couldn't do it anymore. So, guess what? I am going to just, do this now. Um, Hopefully that was all captured. I will cry if it wasn't. Oh, thank goodness. There were some mistakes, so it won't be as long as how I recorded it because it recorded up to 55 minutes. And if this is a lot shorter, then you know why. Um, thank you guys so much for watching. Someone asked me when I'm coming back. This is me coming back. I'm really sorry for being gone for so long, but if you haven't watched my stream, go watch it. You really need to. There was a lot of things, there was new people introduced in my life, and I talked about what's happening in the future. I also talked about maybe having a Patreon or putting on full on members and having members content like member videos, as in I would do on a raised effect as in, the whole story, and I would edit out parts that would I would actually put the whole, like, unedited, you know, stuff like this on my like, the whole 56 minutes right now would go on the Patreon, and then you guys get the edited stuff, so you get all the stuff that's more professional. But if you want all the jokes, all me messing up, me freaking out, and me laughing so hard, you will get those if I do a Patreon. But I don't know if you guys want me to. I wouldn't make this stuff if you guys don't want it. So, thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a big thumbs up. Comment down below. Which was your favorite quote? I think mine was, you want a cigarette? 'Cause that's me. Lately, my roommate is obsessed with Magnus Archives. So so the first ever episode of Magnus Archives, if you know it, it's the anglerfish, which is my favorite. So thank you guys so much for watching. Give it a big thumbs up. I love you guys so much. And don't forget to subscribe. You guys don't subscribe. Please subscribe. Oh my gosh, please subscribe. Okay. Thank you guys so much for watching. Love you guys. Bye. Shut the fuck up! Darn it, my phone! I was doing so well too. Only a couple mistakes. Okay, silence. Silence! Silencio! Anyways, back to our scheduled programming. They all were I'm so sorry. I was like, my throat is caught. Why? Oh yeah, burp. I don't know why I'm so burpy. I didn't drink anything carbonated or anything like that. Darn it. And I didn't eat right before recording, so interesting. Too much spit, I guess, and it just had bubbles. She looked at her hand in which a box was held. Oh, this? Was raising the box. Fuck! Why am I fucking up? I'm almost done. You cannot fuck with me right now. Okay, let me see this. Oh, not now, dear Harry. I'm too tired now. Draco's. Fuck. Such funny. Okay.